Paradise is easy to buy. A faded Polaroid on a damp bar. Two strangers. Frozen. One rented smile. In Pattaya, illusion is cheap. What happens when you believe the lie? When the neon fades, the real cost. It begins with a quiet shift in the atmospheric pressure. A slow-motion drop of rain hits the asphalt, reflecting a brilliant, bleeding pink from the neon sign above. This is Pattaya. To the passing tourist, it is a canvas of absolute, consequence-free hedonism. A sensory playground where the rules of the civilized world are suspended. At the airport terminal, but look closer. Underneath the chaotic roar of Soi 6, there is a silent, incredibly efficient machine at work. It is a machine that runs on a very specific kind of fuel: human isolation. And every year, thousands of men willingly step into its gears. They arrive with heavy chests and full bank accounts. They leave with empty pockets and a hollow, permanently altered mind. This is the silent genesis of what locals call the ATM man syndrome. The casual observer thinks the danger of Pattaya is financial ruin. They warn you about the gold scams, the bar fines, the pickpockets, and the inflated bills. But they are looking at the wrong ledger. The financial cost of this city is merely background noise. The true, devastating tax is paid in emotional bankruptcy. You can always rebuild a bank account, but you cannot easily repair a nervous system that has been chemically desensitized to normal human intimacy. In Pattaya, the most expensive thing you can buy is a feeling. And the receipt is always paid in sanity. This is not a cautionary tale about a vacation gone wrong. This is a deep psychological mapping of a quiet trap. Can a man who buys into Pattaya's ultimate romantic illusion ever survive a normal relationship again? Or does this hyperstimulated, paid fantasy permanently ruin his capacity to love and be loved by a normal partner? To understand the true danger, we have to look past the neon. We have to look at the terrifying moment when a man gets exactly what he paid for and realizes reality will never be enough again. The mechanics of the perfect romantic illusion are deceptively simple. It starts in a space specifically designed to lower your guard. A loud, crowded beer bar under a pink canopy. A drink is bought. A light, rehearsed touch lands on your forearm. To an analytical mind, this is a basic sales transaction. But to a heart starved of touch for years, it is a psychological spark that ignites a dormant fire. Within 48 hours, the commercial setting of the bar fades entirely from the man's memory. Suddenly, he is not a paying customer in a red light district. He is a partner. He is a boyfriend. She is waking up next to him in his hotel room, moving quietly so she doesn't disturb his sleep. She brews hot coffee. She prepares a simple, traditional Thai breakfast in a tiny, rented kitchenette. She giggles softly at the way he struggles to use chopsticks, gently correcting his grip with her small, warm hands. They walk down the crowded beach road, their fingers locked tightly together. She stops to brush a stray speck of dust off his linen shirt. She asks about his life back home, his childhood, his favorite movies, listening with an intensity that makes him feel like the center of the universe. This is the physical mechanics of the purchased domestic fantasy, the girlfriend experience. And it is a masterpiece of psychological engineering. But wait, here is the contradiction. This man is often highly educated. He knows intellectually that her rent is paid by his daily cash withdrawals. He knows she was sitting on another man's lap 3 nights ago. Yet his brain actively suppresses this data because the chemical reward of feeling desired is too powerful to reject. His mind willingly rewrites the terms of service to keep the dream alive. He tells himself their connection is special. He convinced himself that she sees the real him beneath the tourist facade. But the calendar on the hotel desk is a cold, relentless executioner. The departure date approaches, and with it, the terrifying return of his old life. How do these men cope when the flight home is booked, and this simulated soulmate must be packed away like a souvenir? How do you step back into a quiet house where the only sound is the hum of the refrigerator? So the terminal, the performance must pause. The illusion is placed on standby. But the psychological hook is buried deep in his chest, and he is already planning his return before his luggage even hits the conveyor belt. To any rational outsider, the red flags are not just visible, they are screaming. There is the phone that rings at 3 a.m, answered in hurried, whispered Thai in the locked bathroom. There are the sudden, catastrophic family emergencies in the northeast province of Isan. There is the legendary sick water buffalo that has somehow survived multiple terminal illnesses, each requiring a wire transfer of $500. Yet, highly intelligent Western men, engineers, financial analysts, corporate managers, completely lose their capacity for basic logic when they land here. Why? Because they are actively choosing to be blind. The truth is a freezing wind, but the lie is a warm blanket. If they accept the reality that they are just one of several monthly income streams, the fragile tower of their self-worth collapses. So they buy into the drug of willing blindness. They believe her when she says the other Western men on her social media are just friends or old customers who helped her family. They overlook the hidden text messages, the sudden changes in plans, the cold shifts in body language. And behind this emotional desperation lies a highly organized, professional operation. The modern bar girl does not leave her financial security to chance. She manages her clients with the precision of a high-level corporate sales executive. Many of these women utilize a secret digital filing system on their smartphones to organize multiple Western husbands simultaneously. They keep folders categorized by country, arrival dates, financial capacity, and specific emotional triggers. This system ensures that the British husband never video calls while the German husband is sharing her bed. It is a highly efficient, multinational corporation of the heart. And the Western man is not the partner. He is merely a client, paying an ongoing retainer. He returns to his gray home country, working long hours of overtime to fund his own sedation. But the gap between the cold reality of his workplace and the warm beach of Pattaya is a vast chasm. And the only bridge keeping him connected is the endless cycle of international bank transfers. The sudden transition in social status is a profound shock to the system. In his home country, a middle-aged, average-income man is largely invisible. He is bypassed on dating apps by algorithms that favor youth, height, and wealth. He is a cog in a corporate machine, defined by his routine and his utility. But when he steps out of a taxi onto the streets of Pattaya, the laws of social gravity are completely inverted. Suddenly, he is a king. Young, exceptionally beautiful women call out his name from every doorway, competing for his glance. They hang on his every word, laughing hysterically at his dry, uninteresting jokes. For the price of a few cheap drinks, he becomes the absolute center of a beautiful woman's world. This is not a simple boost to a man's ego. It is a massive, unnatural spike in his dopamine system. Human brains are biologically unprepared for this level of artificial validation. When you subject a starved emotional system to constant, hyper-stimulated affection, the neurological pathways are altered. The baseline for what feels satisfying is permanently pushed into the stratosphere. And here lies the psychological trap. Once you have been treated like a god, how do you go back to being a ghost? How do you return to the traditional dating market in the West, where relationships require compromise, mutual effort, and the slow, difficult work of emotional vulnerability? Where a partner expects you to listen to her problems, challenge your flaws, and meet her as an equal? You can't. Real, reciprocal dating starts to feel like an exhausting chore. It feels demanding, cold, and unrewarding. Why spend months negotiating a complex relationship back home when you can step off a plane and buy a perfect, compliant imitation of love instantly? But power bought with cash is highly volatile. It only exists as long as the currency continues to flow. When the money stops, the crown dissolves, and you are left sitting on a plastic stool, completely alone, in a crowd that has already forgotten your face. Every fantasy requires a solid foundation, and in Pattaya, that foundation is capital. In the beginning, the cost is manageable. It is just holiday cash, a budget set aside specifically for fun and relaxation. But holidays end, and the feeling of importance does not want to die. The distance of the return flight makes the hunger grow. And so, the quiet, ongoing financial drain begins. First, it is a small monthly allowance to pay her rent, keeping her out of the bars. Then, a A family emergency requires a fast Western Union transfer. Then, her mother falls ill, needing private medical care. Then, the family farm in Isan desperately needs a new tractor, or a new roof. Slowly, the numbers begin to escalate from hundreds to thousands. The man starts looking at his life's assets through a different lens. His retirement savings account? That represents another 2 years of feeling young and loved. The equity built into his family home? That is a lifetime of escaping his lonely suburban prison. He begins to liquidate his life. He sells his property. He draws down his pension early, accepting heavy financial penalties. He convinces himself he is investing in a beautiful future, a peaceful retirement in a quiet Thai village with the woman who rescued him. He does not see that he is merely paying a continuous maintenance fee on a mirage. What is the precise moment when the money finally runs dry? The transition is not a dramatic explosion. It is a cold, calculated shift in temperature. It is a subtle delay in her text responses, moving from minutes to hours, then days. It is a flat tone in her voice when she answers his calls. A sudden, unexplained lack of availability when he suggests a visit. There is no anger, no theatrical confrontation, just a quiet, professional withdrawal of services. The warmth is switched off, leaving him in the cold. The most severe damage caused by this cycle is not found in a bank statement. The deepest, most permanent scars are carved directly into the pathways of the human brain. This is the psychological point of no return. In clinical terms, it is a state of severe emotional anhedonia. It is the complete inability to derive pleasure or emotional connection from normal, everyday human interactions. When a man returns to his home country after experiencing this hypervalidation, the real world appears to have lost its saturation. Everything is gray. The women he meets in his local town seem uninspiring, difficult, and emotionally distant. They do not smile when he walks into a room. They do not hold his hand with an intensity that feels like survival. They do not treat him like a king or a savior. To a brain that has been artificially stimulated by the purchased perfection of the Pattaya experience, normal, authentic connections become completely invisible. They are gray ghosts in a gray world. The man becomes emotionally crippled, locked in a state of permanent comparison. He cannot build a real relationship because he is constantly comparing a messy, authentic human being to a highly polished, professional fantasy. It is the emotional equivalent of trying to enjoy a quiet acoustic guitar after standing directly next to a stadium speaker for years. His receptors are burned out. Can a mind that has been artificially stimulated in this way ever truly heal? Or is his capacity for real, unbought intimacy lost forever? Many of these men spend the remainder of their years in a state of quiet exile. They are physically present in their home countries, walking through their daily routines, but their minds are permanently wandering the neon-lit side streets of Thailand. They are ghosts haunting their own lives. They are trapped in the groove of a broken record, and the music has long since stopped playing. But the trap does not have to be permanent. The spell can be broken. Reclaiming your mind does not require a miracle, nor does it require you to vow never to return to Thailand again. It requires something far more painful. Absolute, uncompromised honesty. True peace in Pattaya only comes when you strip away the romantic delusions and see the city for exactly what it is. You must stop fighting your deep-seated loneliness with expensive, rented lies. You have to look across the table at the woman sitting with you and see her as an independent human being, not a character in your personal redemption fantasy. She is not your savior. She is not a soulmate who magically appeared in a beer bar to rescue you from middle age. She is a businesswoman. She is a highly resilient, hardworking individual navigating a complex and often brutal market to provide financial stability for her family in the provinces. When you accept this transaction for what it actually is, the emotional manipulation loses its power. The underlying anger and resentment melt away. You stop expecting a paid performance to fill an emotional void that can only be healed through real, unbought vulnerability. But how do you know if you are ready to face this reality? There is a simple, brutal test to determine if you are visiting Pattaya as a healthy traveler or a desperate escape artist. Ask yourself this single question. If you lost all your financial assets tomorrow, would she still look at you with the same warmth in her eyes? And more importantly, if the honest answer is no, do you have the strength to smile, thank her for her time, and walk away without bitterness? 10 Minutes Open Island is small when viewed from the sea. It is just a thin ribbon of concrete and flashing lights pinned between the deep blue water and the dark green hills. It is a visual reminder that the world is incredibly vast, and the neon is just a tiny, artificial corner of it. Pattaya is not a trap because of the people who walk its streets. It is a trap because of the mirrors it holds up to your face. It has an uncanny ability to find the tiny, hidden cracks in your emotional armor. The quiet desperation you spent a lifetime pretending wasn't there. The deep, unspoken fear of growing old in an empty house. And it offers you a beautiful, temporary drug specifically formulated to ease that pain. But you cannot catch a shadow. And you cannot keep a rented heart. To survive the neon strip with your soul intact, you must learn to stop running from your own silence. You must find the courage to look at your life as it actually is. Because the real world is often messy. It is difficult, unfair, and sometimes incredibly lonely. But it is real. And a single moment of genuine, unbought connection is worth more than an entire lifetime of beautiful, rented lies. Do not let the neon blind you to the stars. The light is free, and the choice has always been yours.